Welcome back to another episode of Too Much Podtar. As today is April 6th, and I'm going to be looking back again on baseball history, this day in baseball history. As there's a pretty packed day here on April 6th. A lot of stuff, a lot of big things went down. First thing here, just before I start, actually, I want to mention that, you can find this podcast, as I've said, on any podcast platform. Also, reviews are definitely welcome. You can review it on Apple Podcasts or anywhere, any of the apps that you use to listen to podcasts. Definitely be appreciated. The more listeners we get, the better it is for us. So definitely appreciated. Anything that you review it. If you want to comment, then you can. But you can also just give it a review and not have to leave a comment. But if you do, we will be reading some of the comments. If there are any reviews, I will start reading some of them. So definitely would it be appreciated.
That's gone. George Brett has just homered, and Billy Martin and the Yankees want the bat. Look at Martin.
Well, what they're talking about, Frank, is that he's got too much
Podtar.
way too much Podtar.
Now, jump into this day in baseball history. First big thing, notable thing was 2016. The Padres actually became the first team to be shut out in 3 straight games to start the regular season, as they surpassed the mark that was set by the Browns, who opened the 1943 season with 26 straight scoreless innings. And the Padres, they lost those games 15-0, 3-0, and 7-0 to have that dubious record. Not a record you want, for sure, but a record nonetheless, as that's definitely notable and definitely not something you want at all. But also that same year, Trevor Story became, as we mentioned the other day, he hit 2 home runs in his first regular season game. It was 2 days ago now. In the same year, of course, and then 2 days later, he became the first major leaguer to hit a home run in each of his first 3 major league games, as he hit a home run in the first inning off Chase Park of the Diamondbacks, and he was also the first rookie to have those home runs account for each of his first 4 big league hits. So, yeah, he was he came off to such a hot start there his rookie year. It was crazy. I remember watching that, seeing that happen. I was like, oh my God, this guy is insane. And I mean, obviously he's not terrible, but he hasn't been as great, and he's still a really good player though for the Rockies. The year before that, Bartolo Colon at 41. Good old Bartolo at 41 years old, started on opening day. As the fan base was kind of disappointed in that, though, as they had the young guys, Matt Harvey and Jacob deGrom. They thought one of them would start the game, but instead Bartolo started and was the oldest pitcher to ever start on opening day in franchise history. And he didn't disappoint. Of course, Bartolo didn't disappoint. He outlasted Max Scherzer, the $210 million ace of the Nationals, Max Scherzer, as he only gave up 1 run on 3 hits, as the Mets ended up winning the game 3-1. So, yeah, big good old Bartolo. And also that same year, on opening day, the Rays retired their number 66 to honor Don Zimmer, who had passed away June of 2014. And he was with a dozen different teams as a player, coach, and a manager. And that number 66 that he wore with the Rays was representative of how many years he worked in professional baseball. So that was definitely an important number to him, and it was good of the Rays to retire his number there. And it was those months after his sad passing, as also, he had previously been with the Yankees for a while too, and that was a big one too. And the Yankees organization obviously was a big blow to them to see him pass away, and they also had it honoring at some point that year. I'm not sure if it was on opening day. I don't really remember. I don't recall, but they definitely did honor him at some point because he was special to them as well. And then back to 2012, Adam Dunn tied an MLB record as he hit his 8th opening day home run in the 6th inning off Colby Lewis, and he had hit 2 home runs in the first game of the season twice when he was with the Reds in 2005 and 2007. And interestingly enough, this mark it tied Frank Robinson, who did it in 1975, but then also on the same day, on this day in Major League history, it was Ken Griffey Jr. who did it back in 2009. So that's interesting that happened on the same exact day. 3 years later, Adam Dunn, who obviously Adam Dunn is not the same player as Ken Griffey Jr., but it's still a cool company to be in. Obviously, Ken Griffey Jr. is a Hall of Famer. Adam Dunn was known a lot for those kind of, as we talked about in the show before, those kind of like 3 main outcomes. He basically, all he did was homer, strikeout, or walk. And, he obviously struck out a lot. He was definitely known to do that. But definitely cool record to tie. And pretty crazy that happened 3 years later on the same exact day that Ken Griffey Jr. did it. So, yeah, then back to 2009, Felipe Lopez became the first switch hitter to homer on both sides of the plate. First player to, but obviously a switch hitter. If you're not a switch hitter, you can't do that. So, but that was pretty cool moment. And it was actually Tony Clark ended up doing it as well. An inning later, Tony Clark became the second guy to homer from both sides of the plate, but it made the first set of teammates to homer from both sides of the plate on the first day of the season. But obviously, there had never been a player that did even one player to hit at both sides. So it's not really like, obviously it would have been that first set of teammates to do that because there was none before that. But that's crazy that it happened. 2 players did it on the same day, like when it was none before that. And also that same year, Emilio Bonifacio, he hit an inside the park home run for his first big league home run, and it was the first inside the park home run on opening day since Carl Yastrzemski did it back in 1968. So pretty cool thing. Pretty cool moment there. It's you don't really see too many inside the park home runs, but when you do, it's pretty cool, and it's pretty cool to see some kind of like record like that. Not really record, but like first time that it happens. Back to 2006, R.A. Dickey, another kind of record that you don't want. His only appearance of that season, he tied a post-1900 Major League record, which was shared by 5 other Major Leaguers when he allowed 6 home runs in the game. Luckily, 5 of them were solo shots, but they still lost 10-6. And the only other guy to give it more was in 1886 of the St. Louis Maroons, Charlie Sweeney. He gave up 7 home runs in a game against the Detroit Wolverines. So yeah, if you go back that far, you're gonna find some interesting names like that and crazy stats like that as well. And then a year before that, the Nationals, as they, in this day, yesterday, they opened up their franchise, and they lost. But then today in history, they won their first game as they beat the Phillies at Citizens Bank, and also featured a cycle, Brad Wilkerson, and it was actually his second cycle of his career. But yeah, definitely a cool moment for the Nationals to finally win their first game. I mean, not really finally; it was their second game of their franchise, but to get that first victory, pretty cool moment.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the set and the pitch. Strike 3 call to the outside corner. This game is over. A fastball at 89 miles an hour gets Chase Utley looking to end the ball game, and at 9:46 Eastern Time on April the 6th, 2005. There is the first victory in the history of the Washington Nationals, highlighted by Brad Wilkerson becoming the 26th player in Major League history to hit for the cycle twice in his young career.
And as you heard there too, the announcer saying Wilkerson's hitting the cycle for the second time in his career, was only the 26th man to do it at the time. That was back 2005. I don't think anybody else has done it. That's a crazy feat to accomplish, is to do it twice. I'm trying to think if there's been any others that have done that, because I know there's been cycles obviously since then, but I don't know if there's been any that have done it twice since then. So yeah, I'll just look that up now, and it's definitely hitting this. Like, even hitting the cycle is hard enough, but doing it twice, that is just insane. Oh yeah, there's actually Christian Yelich. He did it in this. All right, yeah, 2018. He hit the cycle twice. Hit for the cycle twice in one season. It was only like 20 games apart. And then obviously there was another big one that it's not. I don't think he did it twice, but Brock Holt did it. Hit for the cycle, became the first player to do it in postseason history in 2018. Sadly, against my Yankees. But there's actually some players that have done it 3 times. As Adrian Beltre did it 3 times in 2008, 2012, and 2015. Babe Herbin in 1931, twice in 1931, and once in 1933. Bob Usual, 1921, 1922, 1928. And then there was also the 2-cycle club of Trey Turner, 2017, 2019. Yeah, that's right, he did it last year. Brock Holt did do it twice. He did that in 2018, and he did one in 2015. As I mentioned, Christian Yelich in the same year, he did it twice. 2018. Carlos Gomez did it in 2008 and 2017. Michael Kadire did it in 2009, 2014. Aaron Hill also did it twice in 2012. Brad Wilkerson, that's the one I just talked about, and he was, as I said, the 26th guy to do it. As there's other guys like George Brett did it twice. George Maggio did it twice. Bobby Doerr, Lou Gehrig, George Sisler. And George Sisler was the first guy to do it in 1920, 1921. But yeah, pretty good company for that. There's a lot of solid guys that did it twice, and there's some obviously that did it 3 times as well, which is crazy feat to do. And speaking, as I mentioned, Adrian Beltre, back in 2004, he became the 36th player in Major League history to hit 100 home runs before the age of 25. And he also joined Cal Ripken Jr. and Lou Gehrig to have exactly 100 home runs on their 25th birthday, which is that's just so random that it's like, how did that even happen? Like, that's just crazy luck to do that literally exactly on your 25th birthday to have exactly 100 home runs. 3 guys have done it. 3 guys have been there, but that's like how does this even happen? That's just crazy. But also that same year, 2004, the Diamondbacks' Luis Gonzalez and Rockies' Luis Gonzalez both hit a home run, and it was only the second time in Major League history when players with the same exact first name and last name homered in the same game. And the other time was in 1990 when Ken Griffey Jr. and his father, Ken Griffey, hit back-to-back home runs. And, that's a really cool moment as we talk about guys, have the same name. They weren't related, but they did it. But to have a father-son duo of Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. hit back-to-back home runs is just nuts. That's an awesome moment. That is crazy. And, it's even to be playing with your own father.
Well, he's helping an inch back up there now. Well hit to center field. Devon White going back. Gone! A 2-run home run.
And he can still hit anybody's fastball.
An instantaneous 2-0 Seattle lead. And he hits one well to left center field. Dante Bichette. Back-to-back home runs.
What else can these guys do?
Yeah, just an awesome moment for a father-son duo to do that. And now we go back to 2001. A couple things with the Phillies. They hired Jim Bunny's number 14 number. And during his 17-year career, he pitched for the Tigers, Phillies, Pirates, and Dodgers. And he joined Richie Ashburn, his number 1, Robin Roberts, number 36, Steve Carlton's number 32, and Mike Schmidt, number 20, as the 5th Philly to have his number retired by them. And it was at Veterans Stadium, the home opener, and got his number retired. And also the same exact day, they also placed the letter P on their Wall of Fame to tribute Pete Alexander, who during his first 7 seasons with the Phillies, he averaged 27 wins. Just think about that. 27 wins. He averaged that during 7 years. And he won 28 games in 1911 as a rookie. And that remains the rookie record. But no one's going to touch that. No one's going to come close. It's even getting 25 wins is crazy. 20 is sometimes doesn't even happen that much. Not like best of the best pitchers can get to 20 wins, but still, even wins is kind of like out of touch now. It's not really looked at as a stat that gives anything to anybody, because a win is a team thing, not really a pitcher thing, because you need the offense, you need to get run support for that to even be a thing. That's based on run support, because obviously Jacob DeGrom with the Mets, he won back-to-back Cy Youngs with the Mets and wasn't close to 20 wins. It's not his fault though, because he didn't get run support. He was the best pitcher in the game over those 2 years that he won the Cy Young for the National League. And that the win total doesn't matter, because the Mets just don't give him run support. They just don't. So that's not really an important stat, but it's still getting 28 wins in one season. It's still pretty crazy, and averaging 27 over their 7 years is still insane. And then going back to 1993, Jack Morris, he made his 14th consecutive opening day start, and that was the major league record, as he ended up taking the loss there on opening day, 8-1 to the Mariners at the Kingdome. And during the 13 years, he was with the Tigers. 10 years he started, and then went to the Twins. And he was, during those 13 years, he had an 8-6 record on opening day. In 1988, Pat Borders, he became the first player in American League history to drive in 5 runs in his major league debut when he had 2 singles and a triple in the Blue Jays 11-4 win over Kansas City. And he joined Walter Mueller and Joe Cunningham, who both did in the NL. And Walter Mueller did it back in 1922 with the Pirates. Joe Cunningham in 1954 with the Cardinals. So it was 44 years since the last one. No, wait, am I doing the math right? No, 34 years since the last time that somebody drove in 5 runs in his major league debut. And I can't think of if anybody else has done it. After that, I feel like they might have, but I don't know. I'm not sure because it's 5 RBIs is still in solid one game. And also that same year, 1988, George Bell, after yesterday's day in history, hitting 3 home runs on opening day, he followed that up by going 5 for 5 with 3 singles, 2 doubles, as he led the Blue Jays over the Royals 11-4. And then another new franchise back in 1977 was when the Mariners became an official franchise. They lost their regular season, first regular season game at the Kingdome, opening up the Kingdome to the Angels 7-0. And Mariners haven't been to the World Series in their franchise history. They have made 3 ALCS appearances, but that first year they went 64-98. And now they haven't been to the postseason in 18 years. They haven't been there since 2001 now, so they're the longest playoff drought in not just Major League history, but all of sports history. They had the longest postseason drought, and it's going to be a while before they even get back again because it's still going to be a while because, as we said in the show, who the hell do the Mariners have? Because we've talked about before, like that. It's like I couldn't even think of anybody that's on the team. They have D. Gordon, they have Daniel Vogelback. They have, it's just so hard to even think of who the hell they even have. They're so bad. It's gonna be another 18 years before they get to the playoffs again. So let's go past that because I don't want to talk about them anymore. In 1974, Mike Schmidt, he started off his 36 home run year with a walk-off home run against the Mets on opening day, hitting a home run off Tug McGraw. And it was 36 home runs he hit that season, was league leading. In 1973, that's when the DH came into play. Orlando Cepeda was signed by the Red Sox just as the newly created DH position, but he went over 6, and even the Red Sox had 20 hits and he had none. He missed out on being the first DH ever, as the first inning ended up being extended, and it brought up Ron Blomberg of the Yankees and he became the first player to step up to the plate as a DH. So instead of Orlando Cepeda being the first DH in Major League history, it was Ron Blomberg. and he also got the first hit as a DH that day. I mean that at bat. And not that at bat. Actually, he in the first inning he drew a walk, but then later he did get the first hit in the third inning. So he had a walk in the first inning, bases loaded walk, driving in the first run at a DH, and also getting the first hit as a DH. So it's, and then Tony Oliva became the first DH to hit a home run as a Twins DH. It was a first inning home run off Catfish Hunter, future Hall of Famer, as they beat the A's 8-3. And then also that same day at Three Rivers Stadium, the Pirates retired Roberto Clemente's number 21 posthumously, as he's tragically died in a plane crash on New Year's Eve. And, it was a sad time. But during his 18-year career, he made 12 All-Star games, won MVP in 1966, had a .317 career batting average, 3,000 hits, 1,305 RBIs. He had a really good career. And, and of course, it was the right thing to do to retire his number. He would have been anyway, even if he didn't sadly pass away. But he, definitely would have eventually been retired by the Pirates. And that's basically all that there to talk about for today in baseball history. As there's been some interesting things to talk about over these episodes that we've been doing, and we'll be continuing these for a while. I want to do them every day for until we get baseball back at least, or something like that. If I can't do one a day, maybe I won't be able to do it some days, but I've been able to so far. And just being in quarantine, just staying at home and just recording a quick episode. It doesn't have to be too long. I usually try to stick to 30 minutes or so with these little mini episodes. And make sure you follow me at Alex Kielar, as I've said before. Make sure you give us a little review. That would be appreciated. And, follow Scorco for all of our articles that we get out here. We've been doing a lot of NFL stuff and trying to do these baseball what if articles, and just keep listening, keep engaged, and make sure you stay safe, stay healthy. Don't go anywhere if you don't have to. And thank you to all the healthcare workers. Thank you to everybody that's an essential worker for being so great and providing help to everybody that needs help. So thank you again for listening. We're back again tomorrow for another episode, and you never have too much pod tar.